all you fancy handwriters, and welcome to another day of handwriting where we're learning another type called Gothic. There are several variations of Gothic. This style is also sometimes called and closely related to Old English. It has a lot of similarities to calligraphy in the way that there's different line variations, and it still follows the rules of getting thick as you go down and thinner as you have an upstroke. The one major difference between calligraphy and Gothic is that calligraphy is thinner, while Gothic, you spend a little bit more time getting this thicker, boxy-like effect. I don't personally have the tool that is typically used for Gothic handwriting. To make Gothic penmanship, artists will typically use a pen that looks very similar to a flat blade. This blade helps you get the box-like effect that Gothic has to offer. But today I'm going to show you how to make something very similar, a style of Gothic, using just a pencil. Keep in mind, you are free to use a pencil, a pen, a Sharpie for this practice, and I'm even going to show you a little bonus feature today, which is another hack to making Gothic lettering. First, we start off with pencil. Understanding Gothic lettering is very similar to understanding calligraphy. However, the strokes that you're practicing here are boxes. So the strokes going downward are boxes, and the strokes going upward are just upward. If you keep practicing these boxy strokes, or just practicing boxes in general, the drawing of boxes, finding a material that can make a box like this thick Sharpie, the way that its shape is very similar to that tool that you need. If you could find something like that, that can also be a cool trick for you to easily make Gothic lettering, because it'll make it easy to do those thick downstrokes and then those thin upstrokes. I'll show you that again. Thick downstrokes and then thin upstrokes. Those are the two kinds of strokes that we focus on to create Gothic lettering. I'm going to quickly run through the alphabet with you, an alphabet style that I love to do. There are a lot of different ways to do Gothic. As I said, a lot of artists embellish it more, add extra sections and parts and swirls. We're going to do a very simple alphabet here, and we're going to do it in a way that I kind of adapted. I made my own style. This is the Miss White style, and it's very boxy. It does resemble Old English a lot, but it is considered Gothic. Starting off with the A, I'm going to do a downward stroke, which means it's going to be thick. Once you decide a line thickness, you want to stick with that for the whole alphabet and try to make each part of your letter that thick. That's a little too thick. You don't want to make it too thick where you won't have enough room on your paper, but you don't want to make it too thin. I'm going to make it somewhere in between there. That's a good width. So I'm going to stick with that width the whole time, just by eyeballing it. I finally found some lined paper, and this is going to help me a lot with just keeping my letters straight. Another cool trick is to get a ruler and pre-line your paper if you don't have lined paper. Or as we always discuss, you could always use paper or any edge to measure out your lines to help you. I'm starting off my A with a downward stroke, and then again I'm going to do a downward stroke down, and even the letter itself is going to be kind of like in a box formation. When I go upward, it's thin. Again, upward is thin. Coming down, thick, thick, and coming down again, thick, thick, kind of looks like an O. I'm going to add that tail now to my A, going downward, thick, thick, and then to end it, upward is thin. That is my A. For the B, it's a tall letter, so I'm starting up here. I'm going to do a thin upward stroke. Coming down in a thick stroke, I'm keeping that same width. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. You can bring it up. I'm going to make that B part of my letter now. Up thin, down thick, down thick, up thin. Sometimes it will look a little bit wonky or off to us. This is when, if you're using a pencil, you can erase and adjust, or you could just embrace its character. So making a C, I don't want to make too many curves or wobbles. That's a little bit too curved. Use only straight lines for Gothic. It'll help you get the effect that you're looking for. Coming down in my C and making two parallel lines. When I go up, it's thin. Again, down is thick. Up thin. Down thick. Up thin. Parallel lines, down thick. Up thin. Down thick. Down thick. Down thick. Up thin. Make that tail up thin. Since it's a D, I'm going to extend a little bit more. Something that you'll want to do as you're practicing these letters is when you're doing those parallel lines, making the outer parallel line slightly shorter on the outside and taller on the inside will help you get this box-like effect, because that way when I'm going up, it's easier. I know to make that thin. Down is thick. Then up thin. Down is thick and up thin. Down is thick. Up thin. And across is thin. The more you practice Gothic lettering, the more you'll have a hang of it and get an idea for how you want each letter to look. You'll have a vision, and you'll know whether thin or thick will look better in that section. I'm not going to speak for the rest of my alphabet, but as I'm drawing, notice when I make a thick line, a thin line, and how I create those parallel lines. I'm getting a little bit too thick here. Remember to keep the same width for all of your letters. I'm going to really focus on keeping a width about that thin. Whew, that was a lot of work. You'll notice that sometimes I broke the rules, such as making a thick upward stroke. This is for two reasons. One is because it's fun to break the rules sometimes. That's how you can develop your own style. Consider that a normal part of the process. The second reason is also because you'll find that with certain letters, you need to A, do what works for you, and B, get a general sense about what would look best for that style. For example, it was very hard to do a W, thinking through if it was skinny going up. It just didn't look like Gothic lettering anymore. So you need to adapt and change, test out every letter. I have never done uppercase Gothic lettering before, so I'm going to pull up a picture and I'm going to reference this picture. This is a completely different style of Gothic lettering. This, you'll notice, has way more designs. Also, if you want to experiment with a new type of Gothic lettering, the lowercase on the right-hand side is a lot different than the lowercase that we tried out here. Trying out the uppercase Gothic lettering, I'm only going to do A and give you an idea how that works. It looks like it's thin going up, scoops, thick going down, and thin going up. It goes thick across the middle. It has kind of like a fin coming off here. This is where the artist's style can come in. And then it has these additional added on areas down here below. Sometimes the best practice is just from copying what we see, just from practicing, mimicking. And then after we get a good sense of the art and a good sense of the style, then developing a style of our own. Just doing the A, that was challenging enough. Something that's different from my Gothic lettering and the A in the picture is just that it has less opportunities to go up and doesn't have any added elements of design. You can play with your Gothic handwriting in a number of ways. One of them is to do a pattern on the inside of the lettering. Another option is to just color them in completely. You can feel free to darken them, which can give it a very bold, popping out appearance. Another popular option that I love is simply to just outline the outsides of your Gothic handwriting. As promised, I'm going to teach you now a special trick for how to do Gothic handwriting at home. For the trick, you only need 2 pencils and something to put these 2 pencils together with, such as tape or a rubber band. I'm going to use a rubber band. You want to keep these pencils level, which means the points should line up. So even if this one's dull and this one's sharp, it's still exactly going to hit the paper at the same time. Once I know that they're level, even if one's tall and one's short, once the graphite's lined up, you wrap around the rubber band several times to get them together. It doesn't even need to be so close to the graphite. It could kind of be in the middle. But what you want to avoid is you want to avoid them twisting too much like that. So make it pretty tight. If you're using tape, that's just about taking a piece and wrapping it around firmly. Even better if you can use both. Let's make this one in the middle. I didn't feed them. And now you have a creative way to make your Gothic lettering. As you can see, this trick works on a much larger scale. So if you're doing this trick, it might be a good idea to go large. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful day.